Kale tightened his grip on the straps of the crate as he walked through the bustling halls of the dragon arena. The crowd's chatter echoed off the metal walls, a mix of excitement and judgment. Dragons were the pride of this galaxy, and the creatures that flew here were considered the strongest, the fastest, the most magnificent beings in existence. And yet, Kale carried with him a dragon that no one believed could ever fly again. The albino dragon inside the crate stirred slightly, a soft whine escaping from her lips. She was a rare breed, her scales shimmering white like frozen moonlight, her wings delicate yet powerful. But they were broken, crippled. The other dragon masters whispered and laughed as Kale passed. "That human thinks he can fix her?" One alien sneered, its 4 arms crossing in amusement. "She will never soar again," another added. "What a waste of time and space." Kyle ignored them. He had heard such comments before, and he knew better than to argue with creatures who had never seen what humans could do. Humans were not the strongest. Humans did not have the largest claws or the sharpest teeth. But humans had something even the fiercest dragon masters often underestimated: ingenuity. He wheeled the crate into a secluded corner of the arena. The place smelled of oil, metal, and dragon scales, a mix that many found unpleasant. But Kyle loved it. This would be his workshop. And here, he would make the impossible possible. As he opened the crate, the dragon lifted her head weakly, revealing deep, intelligent eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. Kyle knelt beside her, speaking softly. "Easy, Luna," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to help you fly again." The dragon's ears twitched, and for a moment she seemed to understand. Kale had seen that look before in animals, and in humans too, the spark of hope, fragile but undeniable. Kale examined her wings carefully. One was twisted and bent at an unnatural angle, the other partially shattered. The scales around her joints were cracked, some missing entirely. Her bones were fragile and her muscles weak from months of neglect. The challenge was immense, but Kale's heart raced with excitement. He loved challenges. He set to work immediately, clearing a space and arranging his tools. He pulled out nanofiber strips, hydraulic braces, and a portable drone assistant. Most of the alien dragon masters would never use human tools. They relied on magic or brute force. Kyle relied on precision, intelligence, and patience. As he worked, he talked to Luna. It was not just a way to calm her, it was a way to study her reactions. Every twitch, every blink, every small movement told him something about her strength, her fear, her potential. Hours passed. The arena outside grew louder as dragons were paraded, their scales shining and claws glittering. People pointed at Kale and Luna occasionally, whispering or laughing. But Kale did not care. He was in his element. By night, he had finished the first stage of repair. One wing was aligned and supported with a lightweight frame, and he had strengthened her other wing with a delicate mesh of human-engineered fibers. Luna flexed her wings experimentally, small movements at first, then slightly stronger flaps. Kale smiled. "You're going to fly again," he said softly. "Just wait. Soon, you'll leave them all behind." Sleep came reluctantly that night. Kyle sat beside Luna, monitoring her breathing and occasionally adjusting the supports on her wings. He did not sleep fully, not because he was afraid, but because he wanted to feel her progress, every tiny improvement. Luna nuzzled his hand, a gesture that seemed to thank him. It was small, but it meant a lot. The next morning, Kale began the real challenge, teaching Luna to trust movement again. She had not flown in months, and her muscles were weak. Even the simplest stretches caused her pain. Kale guided her carefully, showing patience he had learned from years of tinkering with fragile machines. Luna learned quickly that he would not force her, and gradually her flaps grew stronger. Meanwhile, Rumors about the human mechanic and his albino dragon spread throughout the arena. Some aliens were curious, but most were skeptical. "Why bother?" a dragon master called out as Kyle passed. "She will never fly. Just give up." Kyle paused but said nothing. Instead, he focused on the task. Words did not matter. Results did. By the third day, Luna could lift herself slightly off the ground. The crate was no longer needed. She could balance on her legs and use her wings for support. Kyle cheered quietly for her. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. It was also the first time some of the younger dragons noticed. They watched in awe as the albino dragon lifted herself into the air, wobbling but determined. Whispers spread. Perhaps the human was not as foolish as everyone thought. Then came the first true test. A short flight across Kale's workshop. It was nothing like the Dragon Arena racecourse, but it was enough to see if Luna had the strength to lift off completely. Kale stood a few feet away, holding a guiding rod. "Trust me," he said. "You can do it." Luna hesitated, her white scales glinting in the dim light. She looked at Kale, then at the wall in front of her, and then made the decision. With a flap of her repaired wing and a push with her legs, she lifted into the air. Her flight was shaky, and she stumbled slightly, almost hitting the wall. But she corrected herself, hovering for a few seconds before landing gracefully. Kyle laughed, a pure sound of joy. "That's it, Luna. That's it." Word of her first flight reached the arena floor. Aliens paused in their routines, whispers of surprise and disbelief spreading. The laughter was quieter now, replaced by curious murmurs. Some even began to take notes. Humans were not supposed to achieve miracles with dragons. Yet here was one doing just that. The next few days were a mixture of hard work and small triumphs. Kale experimented with lightweight mechanical aids that would not hinder Luna but could strengthen her wings. He studied her unique albino physiology, noting that her bones were stronger than they appeared and her nerves unusually sensitive. This meant she could respond to guidance better than any ordinary dragon. As Kyle worked, Luna's confidence grew. She began to flap higher, hover longer, and even respond to Kyle's commands. The bond between mechanic and dragon deepened. They were no longer just human and dragon. They were a team. Then came the first confrontation. A group of alien dragon masters approached Kyle's workshop, led by a tall, serpentine alien with golden scales. "You waste your time," the leader said, voice hissing like wind through metal. "She is a cripple. No human can change that." Kyle stood calmly. "She is not just a dragon, she is Luna, and she will fly again. You will see." The alien laughed, a harsh, echoing sound. "We will see, but I doubt it." They left, but their presence reminded Kale that the path ahead was not just about fixing wings. It was about proving that humans, with intelligence and patience, could achieve what others deemed impossible. That night, Kale made one final adjustment before resting. Luna lay beside him, her head resting on his lap. He gently stroked her scales, marveling at their smoothness and strength. "You will soar, Luna," he whispered, "and when you do, they will not laugh anymore." The first part of their journey had been tough, filled with doubt, ridicule, and pain, but Kale knew this was only the beginning. The Dragon Arena would soon see something they had never imagined. A crippled albino dragon, healed and stronger than ever, guided by a human mechanic who refused to give up. And in the quiet of the night, as the stars shone outside the arena walls, Kale imagined Luna flying freely above the galaxy, her wings slicing through the clouds, her spirit untouchable, and his heart swelled with pride. No one would ever laugh at them again. The morning sun filtered through the tall metallic windows of the Dragon Arena workshop. Kyle was already at work, adjusting Luna's wings with precise movements. Over the past few days, she had made remarkable progress, but Kyle knew there was still a long journey ahead. Flying a few meters was one thing, soaring across the arena in front of thousands of spectators was another entirely. "Okay, Luna," Kale said, gently lifting her head to look into her silver eyes. "Today we push a little further. You're ready." "I know it." Luna gave a soft hiss, not out of anger, but as a sign of understanding. She trusted Kale completely. That trust had been built over countless hours of gentle encouragement, careful adjustments, and patient explanations. Kale had spent the night designing a new wing support system. It was a combination of lightweight alloys and nanofiber joints that could flex and bend like a natural wing, but also provide strength where Luna's muscles were still weak. He carefully attached the supports, double-checking every hinge and fiber. "Almost done," Kale murmured. "Just a few more adjustments, and you'll be able to lift off stronger than ever." Outside the workshop, the arena was alive with noise. Dragons of all sizes and shapes were paraded by their masters, each one showing off for the spectators. Some were breathing small bursts of fire, others gliding gracefully in the sky. But Kyle ignored them. Today was about Luna, and no distraction could take his attention away. Once the wing supports were secure, Kale guided Luna to the small indoor flight area he had cleared. The ceiling was high enough for several meters of flight, and the walls were padded to prevent injury. "All right, Luna," Kale said. "Let's try a short glide, just a few meters, nothing more. Trust yourself. Trust me." Luna stretched her wings carefully. Her movements were slower than usual, but Kale knew it was because she was testing the new supports. With a deep breath, she pushed off the ground. The first few flaps were clumsy, but then she caught her balance. She hovered in the air, steadying herself with small wing adjustments. Kale's heart lifted. "Yes, that's it," he cheered softly. "Look at you. You're doing amazing." The small victory was enough to encourage both of them. Over the next several hours, Kyle guided Luna through exercises. He taught her to tilt her wings to turn, to use her tail for balance, and to control her speed with precise flaps. Each maneuver was small, but it strengthened her muscles and boosted her confidence. By midday, Luna was able to fly across the workshop without touching the walls. Kale clapped and laughed, feeling pride and relief wash over him. She was improving faster than he had dared hope. But progress was not without challenges. Luna's wings still had weak spots, and Kale had to be careful not to overwork her. Even a small mistake could set back weeks of training. He knew that the next step, introducing real flight challenges, would be the true test of their bond and his ingenuity. That evening, Kale worked late into the night. He studied Luna's movements with a small drone camera, analyzing every flap, every bend of her wings. He noted that one joint still lagged behind the other, and designed a micro-hinge system that would allow the damaged wing to move more naturally. "This is it, Luna," he said as he tightened the final screws. "Tomorrow we test something new, something big. Are you ready?" Luna tilted her head and let out a soft hiss, as if she understood exactly what he meant. The next morning, Kale wheeled Luna to the outdoor training field. It was a small, enclosed space within the arena, but it allowed for longer flights than the indoor workshop. The sun glinted off her white scales, and a breeze rustled her wings as she flexed them in anticipation. Kyle adjusted her supports and stepped back. "Remember, don't push too hard. Just glide, flap, and balance. I'll guide you every step of the way." Luna took off, her first flight outdoors since her recovery began. The wind caught her wings, and she wobbled slightly, almost losing balance. Kale ran alongside, calling out instructions. Slowly, steadily, she gained control, turning and gliding across the field. Kyle felt a thrill. This was the moment he had been waiting for. He knew that once Luna mastered outdoor flight, nothing could stop them, not ridicule, not doubt, not even the fiercest dragons in the arena. But the challenges were far from over. Rumors of the human mechanic and his albino dragon had spread throughout the arena. Some younger spectators watched in awe, but rival dragon masters were less impressed. One group, led by a tall, armored alien named Zarek, approached Kale's training field. "Still playing with your broken dragon, human?" Zarek sneered, his voice booming across the field. "She will never compete. Give up now before you embarrass yourself." Kale looked at Zarek calmly. "I'm not here to compete yet," he said. "I'm here to help Luna fly, and when she does, you will all see what humans can do." Zarek laughed, a sharp, unpleasant sound. "Humans? You have no right to touch dragons." "They belong to the skies, not your tinkering hands." Kyle ignored him. He had learned long ago that words had little power against determination. Instead, he focused on Luna, who had landed gracefully after a long flight. Her chest heaved with exertion, but her eyes glimmered with pride. Kyle smiled. "Good work, Luna," he said. "Rest for now. Tomorrow we try something even bigger." That night, Kyle studied her wings under bright lights. The micro hinges had worked perfectly, and the damaged joint moved more naturally than ever. He made notes for the next step, combining natural movement with subtle mechanical assistance to allow Luna to fly longer distances without fatigue. He worked silently, carefully, almost like a sculptor shaping a masterpiece. Luna watched, her head tilted curiously, as if she understood that Kale's work was meant for her, and only her. The following day, Kale introduced Luna to a simulated obstacle course. Small walls, hoops, and floating markers were set up to challenge her balance, speed, and agility. The first attempts were difficult. Luna stumbled, scraped a wing, and nearly crashed into a padded wall. But Kale was there, encouraging, guiding, adjusting her supports, and giving precise instructions. Gradually, Luna improved. She learned to weave through hoops, glide over obstacles, and maintain speed without losing control. Each success was met with soft praise from Kale and small hisses of approval from Luna. They were learning to communicate without words, relying on trust, observation, and instinct. By the end of the day, Luna had completed the course multiple times without error. Kale felt a surge of pride. This was more than just fixing a broken dragon. This was creating a partnership between human ingenuity and dragon instinct, a combination that no one in the arena had ever seen before. Word of Luna's progress began to spread beyond the training field. Aliens who had mocked Kale now whispered in curiosity. Some young dragon enthusiasts even came to watch, eyes wide with amazement. They had never seen a dragon recover so quickly, and under the guidance of a human mechanic, no less. But not everyone was impressed. Zarek and his group continued to observe from a distance, their expressions sour. They could not understand how a human could achieve what they thought was impossible, and that disbelief only fueled Kale's determination. "You see, Luna," Kale said that night, as he adjusted her wings for rest. "They don't believe we can do it, but that's fine. We'll show them. Step by step, flap by flap, we'll prove them wrong." Luna nuzzled his hand softly. Kyle smiled. It was a simple gesture, but it carried meaning. She trusted him, and he trusted her. Together, they were more than human and dragon. They were a team that could defy expectations and rewrite the rules of the arena. Kale spent the next few days refining Luna's flight abilities. He experimented with different wing angles, weight distribution, and mechanical adjustments. Each day, Luna grew stronger, more confident, and more graceful. She began to perform maneuvers that no ordinary dragon could, subtle twists and turns that made her flight look effortless and almost magical. And then, one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the arena, Kyle watched Luna take off into the sky. She soared higher than ever before, her wings catching the last light of the sun, her white scales glowing like silver. She dipped, twisted, and glided in perfect harmony with the wind. Kale's heart swelled with pride. This was the moment he had worked for, the first true proof that Luna could fly, not just survive. From the edge of the arena, a few spectators whispered in awe. Even Zarek stopped, his golden eyes narrowing as he watched Luna move with grace and power. For the first time, doubt flickered in his mind. Kyle knew this was only the beginning. The arena would soon see a dragon unlike any other, guided by a human mechanic whose determination, skill, and creativity could not be denied. And when the day came for Luna to compete, no one would laugh. They would all watch in astonishment as the albino dragon, once crippled and hopeless, soared above the skies, a living testament to the ingenuity and courage of humanity. The dragon arena buzzed with excitement as the day of the preliminary trials approached. Spectators from across the galaxy filled the stands, their eyes bright with anticipation. Dragons of every size and shape circled overhead, each displaying their strength and agility. Amid the grandeur, Kyle wheeled Luna to a quiet corner of the arena, preparing her for the most important challenge yet, the trial of the skies. Kale adjusted the supports on Luna's wings carefully. The sun reflected off her white scales, making her look like a shard of pure moonlight. She flexed her wings experimentally, testing the strength Kale had meticulously reinforced over weeks. Her muscles were stronger now, more precise, and her confidence had grown. But Kale knew the real test would push her to the limits. "Today is different, Luna," Kale said softly, brushing his hand along her neck. "This is not just training. This is where we show them what you can do. Remember everything we practiced? You're ready." Luna tilted her head, letting out a soft hiss, her silver eyes gleaming with determination. Kyle could feel the bond between them stronger than ever. She trusted him completely, and he trusted her instincts. The trial began with a deafening roar of cheering. Kyle led Luna to the starting point, where dragons were lined up, their masters giving final commands. Most of the competitors were powerful, sleek, and fast. Some had wings that spanned the width of an entire arena, while others bore scales that glowed with energy. Kale felt a pang of nervousness, but he pushed it aside. Luna's strength was not in brute size or firepower. It was in precision, intelligence, and the human ingenuity guiding her. "On my mark," the announcer bellowed. "Dragons and masters, prepare for the trial of the skies." The starting horn sounded, and the dragons surged forward like living rockets. Kale held Luna close, whispering guidance, helping her anticipate turns, wind currents, and obstacles. The first few maneuvers were chaotic. Dragons twisted and dove, brushing close to each other in a display of skill and daring. Luna's movements were cautious at first, but Kale's encouragement kept her steady. "Good, Luna. Tilt your wings, yes, exactly like that. Now glide over the left marker." She obeyed perfectly. Her wings sliced through the air with precision, and Kale marveled at her agility. Unlike the other dragons who relied on raw power, Luna moved with thought and strategy, adjusting to the environment with a human-taught intelligence that no other dragon had ever shown. But the arena was not without danger. Halfway through the course, a rival dragon, sleek and aggressive, lunged toward Luna, attempting to intimidate her and disrupt her flight. Kyle reacted instantly, guiding her through a rapid series of twists and rolls. Luna dodged with grace, avoiding collision, and accelerated forward. The spectators gasped, impressed by her skill and Kale's guidance. "You're doing amazing, Luna!" Kale shouted. "Keep going!" The trial became more complex. Floating hoops and moving barriers forced the dragons to adjust mid-flight. Luna adapted quickly, anticipating changes with precision. Kale's enhancements allowed her wings to respond to subtle shifts in air pressure. making her movements smoother than anyone expected. Meanwhile, whispers spread through the crowd. Many had doubted Kale and his albino dragon, but now even the most skeptical spectators watched in awe. The human mechanic had created something extraordinary, a dragon that combined natural power with thoughtful strategy, guided by intelligence and trust. Zarek, the serpentine alien who had mocked Kale before, glared from the stands. His golden eyes narrowed as he observed Luna weaving flawlessly through obstacles. For the first time, doubt flickered in his mind. How could a human have trained a dragon to surpass the natural skill of other elite dragons? But the greatest challenge came at the final section of the trial, the high-speed canyon run. Dragons were expected to dive through narrow rock formations at incredible speeds, requiring precision and courage. Many dragons had failed this section, crashing into walls or losing control. Kale knew it would test Luna like never before. "Steady, Luna," he whispered. "We've trained for this. Trust yourself. Trust me. You can do it." She flapped her wings, gathering speed, and launched into the canyon. The walls rose on either side, sharp and unforgiving. The wind howled past her scales, and debris from the cliffs brushed her wings. Kale guided her with small movements of his hands, subtle cues that only she could sense through their bond. They twisted, turned, and darted through narrow passages. Luna's enhanced wings responded flawlessly, adjusting to each obstacle with remarkable agility. The crowd watched in stunned silence, holding their breath as the albino dragon danced through the canyon like a ghost of moonlight. At the final turn, a rival dragon attempted a block, trying to force Luna off course. Kyle acted immediately, directing her through a rapid maneuver she had never attempted before, a double-roll glide that allowed her to avoid collision while maintaining speed. Luna executed perfectly, soaring out of the canyon and landing gracefully at the finish line. The arena erupted in cheers. Spectators jumped to their feet, applauding and shouting in amazement. Even Zarek's group fell silent, unwilling to deny what they had witnessed. Kale's heart raced as he patted Luna, tears of pride welling in his eyes. "You did it, Luna. You were incredible," he said. But the victory was not just about skill. It was about trust, innovation, and human ingenuity. Kyle had proven that humans, despite their lack of natural strength compared to other species, could achieve greatness through intelligence, creativity, and determination. After the trial, Kale led Luna to a quiet area to rest. He carefully removed her wing supports, checking for any signs of strain or injury. Luna nuzzled his hand, her eyes filled with trust and affection. Kyle smiled. "You were amazing today, Luna. They will never forget you, and neither will I." Even as Kale celebrated, he knew the challenges were far from over. Rival dragon masters were already plotting ways to regain their pride. Some would try to sabotage future trials, others would attempt to intimidate Luna. Kyle would need to stay vigilant, using every ounce of his skill to protect her and ensure she continued to soar. That night, Kyle worked late, adjusting Luna's wings for better aerodynamics. He studied every movement she had made during the trial, analyzing areas where she could improve. The micro hinges, the nanofiber supports, and the lightweight alloys he had designed all performed perfectly. But Kale knew that future challenges would require even more precision and innovation. As he worked, Luna rested beside him, her breathing steady. Kyle marveled at how far she had come. Once crippled and ridiculed, she now moved with strength, grace, and intelligence. She was no longer just a dragon. She was a symbol of what could be achieved when trust, determination, and ingenuity came together. The next morning, Kyle introduced Luna to new maneuvers. He taught her sharp turns, sudden dives, and rapid accelerations, techniques that would give her an edge in real competition. Each maneuver was difficult, pushing her wings and muscles to their limits. But Luna learned quickly, adapting to each new challenge with remarkable speed. Kyle knew that soon it would be time to face the arena fully, with spectators watching and rivals attempting to test them at every turn. But he also knew that Luna was ready. Together, they had built more than strength. They had built confidence, trust, and a partnership that no rival could break. Word of Luna's performance in the Trial of the Skies spread rapidly. Aliens and humans alike spoke in awe of the human mechanic and his albino dragon. Some called them a miracle, others an inspiration. Kale remained humble, focusing on training and preparation. For him, it was never about fame. It was about Luna and the bond they shared. As the sun set on the arena, Kale watched Luna soar across the horizon, her wings slicing through the air with precision and beauty. He knew that the greatest trial was still ahead, but he felt ready. No matter the challenge, no matter the rival, they would face it together. And when the time came, the arena would witness a dragon unlike any other, guided by a human whose courage, skill, and ingenuity had made the impossible possible. Kale smiled, feeling a surge of determination. The trial had proven their potential, but it was only the beginning. The skies awaited, and so did the challenges that would test their limits. Luna landed gracefully beside him, her eyes bright and confident. Kale reached out, resting his hand on her neck. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we take it further. We show them that nothing can stop us. Are you ready?" She hissed softly, a sound that Kale had learned to interpret as agreement. Together they would rise higher than ever before, not just in the arena, but in the hearts and minds of everyone who had doubted them. The trial of the skies had been won, but the real journey, the journey to greatness, was just beginning. The day of the Grand Dragon Race had arrived, and the Dragon Arena was alive with anticipation. Thousands of spectators from across the galaxy filled the stands, their voices blending into a deafening roar. Flags waved, holographic displays shimmered, and dragons of every size and shape circled above, preparing for the most prestigious race of the season. Kale stood at the edge of the starting platform, adjusting Luna's wing supports one last time. Her white scales gleamed in the sunlight, her silver eyes shining with focus and determination. She had trained for months, and now it was time to prove what they could achieve together. "You're ready, Luna," Kale said, kneeling beside her. "We've worked for this moment. Remember everything we practiced. Trust yourself, trust me, and fly like you've never flown before." Luna let out a soft hiss, nuzzling his hand gently. Kyle smiled. He knew that beneath the nerves and tension, Luna was as confident as he had ever seen her. They had faced ridicule, doubt, and countless challenges, but now the moment of truth had come. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. "Welcome, spectators, to the Grand Dragon Race. Dragons from all corners of the galaxy will compete today in a test of speed, skill, and courage. Let the race begin!" The starting horn sounded, and the dragons leaped into the air. Massive wings flapped, scales glimmered, and powerful claws sliced through the air. Kyle gripped Luna's harness lightly, giving her subtle guidance. "Steady, Luna," he whispered. "We don't need to rush. Precision first, speed second." The first section of the race was a series of floating hoops, suspended in mid-air. Dragons twisted and dived through them, some barely making it through without hitting the edges. Luna approached the first hoop carefully, tilting her wings precisely as Kale had trained her. She slipped through perfectly, her movement smooth and controlled. Spectators gasped. A human-guided albino dragon was performing maneuvers that even elite dragons struggled with. Whispers of amazement spread through the stands. Kyle kept his focus, guiding Luna through each hoop, each turn, and each challenge with calm precision. By the time they reached the second section, a narrow canyon filled with strong wind currents, Kyle's nerves were steady. Luna's enhanced wings, combined with her natural instinct, allowed her to twist and glide with perfect balance. A rival dragon tried to intimidate her, diving close and forcing her to change course. But Kyle's guidance, paired with Luna's trust in him, allowed her to dodge with a swift roll and accelerate ahead. "Good girl, Luna," Kyle whispered. "Keep going." The race grew more challenging. Dragons had to navigate spinning platforms, floating barriers, and sudden gusts of wind that could throw them off course. Many competitors struggled, their wings clipping obstacles or losing balance. But Luna, guided by Kale, moved with grace, agility, and intelligence. Every flap, every twist, every turn was precise, almost like a dance choreographed in the sky. Halfway through the race, Kyle noticed Zarek, the serpentine dragon master who had once mocked him. Zarek's dragon, massive and powerful, was gaining on Luna. The crowd erupted with cheers and gasps as the two dragons neared the final section, a treacherous loop of floating rings that required perfect timing and incredible control. "Luna," Kale said, "this is it. Remember the drills. Timing is everything. Trust yourself. I trust you." Luna responded instantly. She tilted her wings, accelerated with controlled bursts, and approached the first ring with flawless precision. The crowd held its breath as she twisted through, the tip of her wing narrowly avoiding the edge. Kale guided her seamlessly to the next ring and then the next. Zarek's dragon lunged forward, trying to block Luna's path, but Kale had anticipated the move. He guided Luna through a sudden upward roll, and she soared above the rival, landing perfectly on the final glide path toward the finish line. The arena erupted. Spectators screamed, jumped, and cheered, their excitement shaking the very walls of the stadium. Never before had anyone seen a dragon perform with such skill and intelligence. The whispers about the human mechanic and his albino dragon turned into shouts of admiration and awe. Kale laughed, tears of pride filling his eyes as he patted Luna's neck. "We did it, Luna. You were perfect." Luna landed gracefully, her chest heaving from exertion, her wings spreading wide. She had not only completed the race, but had done so with unmatched precision, intelligence, and courage. She had proven that skill and trust could triumph over raw power. The judges conferred quickly, then announced the results. The winner of the Grand Dragon race, Luna, guided by Kyle, the human mechanic. The crowd erupted again, louder than ever. Aliens and humans alike cheered, applauded, and waved flags. Even Zarek, the once rival dragon master, approached Kale with a nod of respect. You did the impossible," Zarek said, his voice low but sincere. "I doubted you, human, but you have proven that intelligence and trust can overcome even the strongest dragons." Kale smiled, shaking his head. "It wasn't just me. It was Luna. She trusted me and I trusted her. Together we did this." The victory was more than personal. It was a moment of recognition for humanity in a galaxy that had often underestimated them. Humans were not the strongest species, but they were clever, innovative, and capable of creating extraordinary bonds with creatures others considered untouchable. As the crowd continued to cheer, Kale led Luna to a quiet part of the arena. He carefully removed her wing supports, inspecting them for any strain or damage. Luna nuzzled him, letting him know she was exhausted but happy. "You've come so far, Luna," Kale said softly. "From the day I found you, crippled and hopeless, to now. You are the fastest, most intelligent dragon anyone has ever seen, and it's all because you believed in yourself." Luna gave a soft hiss, brushing her head against his hand. Kale smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. This was more than victory. It was proof that humans, with courage and ingenuity, could achieve greatness. The news of their triumph spread rapidly across the galaxy. Reports, holograms, and messages from faraway planets celebrated the human mechanic and his albino dragon. Many began to rethink what humans were capable of. No longer just clever engineers or thinkers, they were innovators who could change the impossible into reality. Over the next few days, Kyle and Luna received countless invitations to visit other arenas, to teach, and to demonstrate their techniques. But Kyle remained humble. Fame was not his goal. It was about Luna, about trust, and about showing the universe that determination, intelligence, and heart could surpass even the greatest natural advantages. One evening, as the sun set over the Dragon Arena, Kale and Luna stood together on a high platform. She stretched her wings wide, catching the last rays of sunlight. The wind lifted her slightly, and she hovered, as if testing the air before another flight. "Ready to soar again, Luna?" Kyle asked, a soft smile on his face. She let out a soft hiss and leaped into the sky, wings spread wide. Kyle watched, his heart swelling with pride, as she glided effortlessly across the horizon. She twisted, turned, and dove with a grace that seemed almost impossible. And then she rose higher, soaring above the clouds, free, strong, and unstoppable. Kale followed, riding alongside her on a small jet board he had engineered, laughing as they moved together in perfect harmony. The crowd below watched in awe as the albino dragon, once crippled and ridiculed, soared higher than anyone had ever seen. A living testament to the power of trust, intelligence, and human ingenuity. In that moment, Kale knew that nothing could stop them. Not ridicule, not doubt, not even the strongest rivals. Together, they had rewritten the rules of the arena and proved that humans could achieve greatness beyond expectation. As Luna hovered beside him, Kyle whispered, "We did it. They will never laugh at us again." She tilted her head, silver eyes bright, as if to say she understood perfectly. And together they soared into the galaxy, a symbol of hope, courage, and the unbreakable bond between human and dragon. The stars stretched out before them, endless and full of possibility. Kale and Luna had not just won a race, they had shown the universe what humans could do when heart, mind, and trust worked together. And for the first time in his life, Kyle felt that nothing was impossible.